Hey, what's up, YouTube? Wanted to talk to you about a topic I've actually been rather passionate about, something that I feel like hasn't been said too much, but said in a more roundabout way, not directly being addressed. I am going to be jumping right into this video after I ask that you like and subscribe. Make sure that if you want to keep seeing this content, that you hit the bell so that you get notified whenever I have a new upload, which I'm going to try to make far more regularly. What the topic of this video is going to be about is that I feel we should be harping on modern FPS games far more than we actually are, because I feel as if it's just regurgitated content that is always the exact same. I'm Tolerant Madman, and I want my opinions to be heard, and for people who have likewise opinions to have a voice to speak for them if they are quiet, and a louder voice to speak for them if they are outspoken, so that we can be the majority and see change in the world that we want, that will make gaming far more enjoyable. Now, the background footage you're seeing playing is just me playing some Halo 4, trying to get an achievement. And Halo is actually not one of the games that I'm referring to in this topic. The games that I'm referring to are ones that rely almost exclusively on their gunplay or core mechanics in the game that are not special in any way and are only just derived of being a modern FPS. Me saying modern as in the time period in which it is set, not modern as if made right now. The games that are, I think, applicable to this would be Call of Duty, Battlefield, and where I especially felt it most recently, Far Cry. Far Cry 3 being one of my absolute favorite games ever. Honestly, it was one of the first games that I ever 100%ed, got all 1,000 pointed, got all the achievements, whatever you'd like to say, all the trophies. And since that game, I feel all of the Far Cry games are just the same, carbon copies of one another. This is something that was also said by Critical over on his channel. I'll link it down below if you don't know who that is, but I feel as though everyone does. He said if you like one Far Cry game, you like all Far Cry games.
It's the same Far Cry. If you like Far Cry, if you like Far Cry 3, and then Far Cry 4, which is Far Cry 3, and then Far Cry 5, which is also Far Cry 3, you'll like this one.
And I feel like that's just straight to the point. It's the best way that it could be said. If you don't like one of the Far Cry games, like say you don't like 3, there's no way you're going to like 4, 5, or 6. I think that's bad, because even people who like the Far Cry games, like myself who played 3, myself who played 4, I couldn't really get into 5 and I couldn't really get into 6. I always thought that they were going to introduce something that would be massive and alluring and make me want to come and watch and play and see all these cutscenes. And really, no. All of the gameplay felt very stale. They felt like they weren't putting too much into the lore, into the actual story of the game. Felt like they were hoping to just ride the coattails of the series and have the gameplay speak for itself, which it didn't. Games I think that break from this extensively are games like Destiny and Halo, two Bungie games, ironically. The reason why I feel like they aren't in this rut that other FPS games are, first off, they're not set in a modern setting. They take us somewhere where we are not already. They take us into the future, into an alternate universe, introduce these magic powers, Destiny, introduce crazy futuristic concepts, Halo, even to just go to a even more basic, because I'm going to go over those ones and how they extensively introduce lore into their series that make it to where there are even branching chains of lore that you can go and check out if you'd like to, like with the Grimoire cards in Destiny, or the movies, the books, Nightfall series for Halo, all of these branching out, even just changing up the gameplay mechanic to where it's not just modern. I would say like in Titanfall, back whenever Titanfall was big, that was just a game that had this unique gameplay loop that separated it from all of these other modern FPS shooters, and that was enough. Meanwhile, Call of Duty, it's a big joke, Call of Duty makes the same game every year, and they do, and that's just straight to the point to where I don't like Call of Duty. I don't like almost any of the Call of Duty games. The reason why is because it's almost like a stencil. You can apply it in every single facet of every single one of the games. If you don't like one of them, you're not going to like any of them. There's no special zam that they put into them or anything like that. They just want to keep making the exact same game because the certain person keeps playing their games. And I don't understand why anyone would continue to play their games. Battlefield Bad Company, way back in the day, I thought it was a pretty good game. Pick up the next Battlefield game, this feels about the same. The next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next next one, and it just got so repetitive. I don't even pick up those games anymore. They don't get my money. They don't get my time. If they're free on Game Pass, they're not going to even get my time. I feel like they're all just down a slope. They're not changing. They think changing the time period or the guns they're giving you is going to change any of it whenever it's still just a problem directly at its core. And I wanted another game that made me realize this besides Far Cry 6 was Borderlands 3, a game that I actually pre-ordered. I was a big fan of the Borderlands games. I played a little bit of 1 when I was a little bit younger. I played all the way through 2, all the way through pre-sequel. Loved pre-sequel, played pre-sequel through I'd say a dozen times. I got 3. I 1,000 pointed 3. I enjoy the gameplay loop, but it started to fall a little flat just because of a couple things that they weren't improving upon. I felt like the story wasn't the best. It definitely wasn't the best in the series. And I started to feel that same thing I felt for Call of Duty, for Battlefield, for Far Cry. And I really hope that they're moving away from that in the new release of the new Tiny Tina Dungeons and Dragons style game. And if they are moving away from it, that's going to be amazing. If they're moving deeper into it, just falling into the same gunplay loop, not changing anything, not introducing deep and intricate lore to have people hooked that way, not introducing new and unique mechanics like the Moze. The character Moze actually is very Titanfall-esque. She has a giant mech. Meanwhile, the other 3 characters, just abilities. One has a companion that can be swapped out in a couple different ways. That's about it. And even the Siren, a couple of her Siren abilities are just rehashed Siren abilities from the older games, making it to where I just can't say that it's the best the series could have made. But going into the games that have deep lore, that introduces almost a whole new community into the game that are so interested in the lore, that are so interested in the story, that are so interested in just the smallest aspects of the story. Say the Halo, being interested in the Spartan 2 program, wanting to know more about that, learning the backstories of different Spartans, reading the books, looking at the comics. There's like an anime, there's movies, there's this and that. You can have so many different ways of enjoying the universe that the game you enjoy is set in, that it's almost necessary for the games to have this. Honestly, I think it makes every game better, is to just have a deep lore that you can either ignore. Say Destiny 1 had virtually none of it in the actual game. Still was a roaring success where people who wanted to see the lore could go to the Grimoire cards and see the lore. People who didn't, wanted a mindless shooter where you just absolutely murked everything, could do that too. Destiny 2 kind of strayed away from where you couldn't see the lore, but it still kept to where if you did not care, you didn't have to see the lore. It wasn't like 10 minutes of cutscenes. It wasn't like forcing you to read log entries or anything like that. You were able to ignore it if you wanted to, but if you wanted to, you go into it deep and see all of the intricacies and learn about the Hive, about the Taken, about the Vex, all of this. I think that was done amazingly. I think other games need to do this, and I feel like games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, they just need to die. They need to either make something new, a new IP, or they just need to stop. I don't know anyone in my own personal friend groups who genuinely enjoy those games. Period. That's it. I don't know a single person who loads up those games and says that they genuinely enjoy playing them. I have a lot of friends who will say, oh, I know so-and-so, they play the game, so, I play it. I don't have any of them who are enthusiastic fans of those series, and I don't feel like there are that many of them. I feel like everybody buys it, hoping it'll be the next Call of Duty Modern Warfare. But even if they handed us basically just an improved version of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, no one's gonna like it. It's the same thing. Go do the other thing. It's the same. Who cares? And I think that's what all of this is about, is that they just need to do something different. They need to do something special, to make it worthwhile, to make it worth playing over any other game. Introducing a lore mechanic, introducing something special like Titanfall did, introducing a special type of gunplay like Borderlands did, and then continuing to innovate, continuing to upgrade, continuing to change and evolve. These are all things that they need to do. And none of that is introducing a new battle royale, which I think is the biggest fad, and that's a whole nother video, honestly. If that were to change in Call of Duty, just it being the same game, I would start buying it. But if they keep up the same stale gameplay loop of modern weapons firing at modern soldiers, it's just so goddamn boring. That's about it. That's the video. If you want to see more videos like this where I'm just giving my hot take on certain topics, and if you agree with the videos, to give it a like. If you disagree, to give it a dislike. Make sure you subscribe, just so that if you want to hear more of my opinions that you enjoy, you can keep hearing them, and if you want to hear more of my opinions that you don't enjoy, you can keep disliking them. I will see you all in the next video.